Now, a couple of months ago, I made this video titled Lost NASCAR Teams That Never Race. Make sure to check it out if you haven't already. And it was about exactly what it sounds like, NASCAR teams that were announced but never actually hit the track. But there was one team that I left off due to it being a complete mystery what the team was all about. I knew I was going to have to do a lot of digging and a lot of research to find what was going on with this race team. I did that and came to the conclusion that this team needs its own video for how wild and insane this thing is. And first of all, it's a fake race team that never actually planned to hit the racetrack, so it was basically a scam. And you're going to see exactly why it was a scam fake race team that was attempting to just make money and never actually see the racetrack. Now, the team I'm talking about is called Nature Farms Racing. I know, a very interesting name. It was supposedly some sort of company that was funding the whole thing. They came out of absolutely nowhere, I think from the end of 2019, or maybe it was the beginning of 2020, somewhere around then. I know it says NASCAR Xfinity Series on here, but they actually had much higher ambitions than that. Here's a Reddit post from around that late 2019, early 2020 time that said something flew under the radar yesterday that there's a new NASCAR Cup Series team that will debut in 2020 with an affiliation with Starcom Racing, and that is Nature Farms Racing that they're talking about here. It was then reported on TobyChristie.com, and it gave even more information. It says apparently, big emphasis on the apparently, Nature Farms Produce, which apparently has been a partner of Starcom Racing in recent years. Kevin McGuire is the owner of that company. Again, he is the one saying all this stuff. Starcom Racing had no announcement, no nothing about this. They were just going off of what Kevin McGuire said. And again, continues that they're going to be starting their own NASCAR Cup Series team. Again, from that guy who actually is a former ARCA Series driver. Only season he raced was 2001, and only did like 4 or 5 races, finishing bottom 20 every single time. But still has racing experience in a NASCAR, well, wasn't sanctioned yet, but in 2020, a NASCAR sanctioned series. It then goes on to say on TobyChristie.com that the team is hoping to make their debut at Michigan in June, which, FYI, just a bit of a spoiler alert. With all the COVID things, Michigan actually happened in August and was a doubleheader, but that's not really relevant right now. And that a driver would be announced at a later date. Now, it's pretty strange to me that Starcom Racing is not involved with announcing this, and that I've never seen Nature Farms Racing on a Starcom car ever, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're randomly a partner, and this guy, Kevin McGuire, the owner of Nature Farms, is saying that he has an affiliation with them to start a NASCAR Cup team. Something seems kinda off. Now, this comment under that Reddit post that I showed before says that this team is completely fake, and it does say all of the sponsors are completely fake, which makes sense that Nature Farms was never seen on a Starcom car, and even Kevin McGuire, the team owner, is a convicted con artist. Now, I don't know how true that is because I didn't find anything else about that, but this just seems pretty fishy. Now, after all this stuff was said in 2020, we heard nothing about the team for the rest of the year. Of course, they didn't show up to Michigan, neither of the races there, and we heard nothing in 2021, nothing in 2022 even. They just went dead silent. I mean, it was kind of weird. Well, I mean, it might be expected considering this was a fake scam team, but a few years later, they randomly, I think at around 2024, started posting on their Facebook again. And it was pretty much them just screaming for advertising opportunities and wanting people to put their logo on their race car for still NASCAR Cup Series events, even though this is 2024 and they're using a Gen 6 in the promo. And the paint scheme looks pretty fake. It might look a little bit realer than the other ones, but it still looks pretty fake with these logos that I've never seen before. Now, you might be wondering, what is Nature Farms? It's apparently some produce company that this guy, Kevin McGuire, which you see in the picture right now, runs. He's, of course, the same guy that was trying to start the Cup Series team, allegedly. Here he is. The website looks pretty unlegit. He's with some lemons over here at another farm store, which I don't think is probably his. I think he just went to some random farm store, acting like it's from Nature Farms, and just took a picture. Their website's the only thing that I can find that has anything to do with them. There's no location. There's no nothing. It's very weird, and there's no way to even buy things, I don't think, on this website. And they even have other videos acting like it's their produce that they're showing showing, but it's actually from other farm stores. So you can see pretty clearly this company that's supposed to be running the Cup Series team is completely fake. So it makes sense, considering the company is fake, that they would be begging for money to try to, again, allegedly start their NASCAR Cup Series team. And by the way, there's a truck now on this promo. Where'd that come from? This was posted in October of 2024, and you can see a Daytona 500 logo right there. And here it is in November, them saying that they are going to try to race the Daytona 500 in 2025. And that they're looking for 3 associate sponsors and 1 primary car to cover the cost. Apparently the team would be running Fords, even though the renders only ever showed Toyotas and Chevys, which is pretty odd. And this is going to just even add to the scam. They said that 150 million people would be watching the Daytona 500, which is just not even close. Not even that many people watch the Super Bowl. Even before this, they posted this slop of a paint scheme that allegedly was going to be running the 2024 ARCA race at Talladega, which, by the way, at this time already happened. There was not an October race in ARCA at Talladega. I don't know what they're talking about. And by the way, they spelled Talladega wrong. Okay. And I'm not sure what this paint scheme is supposed to be. Good lord. This is some random scheme that's ran at Watkins Glen that they just stole, of course, and put their logos on it in a very bad way. I mean, you can at this point just tell that this team is an absolute scam. Allegedly, they've been trying to race for 5 years. All they're doing is just posting on Facebook now, begging for sponsorship opportunities. There's never been any details really announced about the team other than this guy, Kevin McGuire, is the owner. I mean, honestly, the team in 2020 started off somewhat legit looking. They even had TobyChristie.com involved, which of course is a very legit website. But at this point in 2024, they were just shooting themselves in the foot. Look at this horrific editing job. They took Jacques Villeneuve's car from the 2022 Daytona 500 that he ran with Hesseberg, just put their number on the front of it in a horrible way, didn't even try, and said that this was the car that they had, which is definitely not true. They even tried to say that this right here, this picture they posted, was their own race car, their own Mustang for the Daytona 500, and they had it being prepared, which they clearly didn't try too hard, considering that these are actually old Team Hesseberg back bumpers from Rayum Racing. All we know is Kevin McGuire is the worst photo editor in history. I mean, look at this mess. They're trying to say that this is the hauler that they had. It was all wrapped and ready to go, but you can clearly see that these logos were just placed on with Photoshop or something like that. I mean, nice try. Okay, I think this officially sells it that this team is a complete scam and is fake. What is this? They even made merch, which honestly they didn't do a horrible job on. And there actually is a way to buy this stuff, which I'm sure it would never come. But you can tell none of the other stuff was helping their case to try to be legit. And a mind-blowing thing here is they were asking for a 5-year deal for a sponsor, primary that is, just 5 seasons for $20 million a season, which adds to $100 million of sponsorship dollars for this car. That is just unbelievable. That is the kind of stuff that FedEx was paying Joe Gibbs Racing when they were sponsoring Denny Hamlin. That's basically as much as it gets. Now, at least Kevin McGuire isn't that stupid to continue pushing that. He then put it at only $2.5 million a season for a 1-year commitment, which still is a boatload for a team that probably was never even going to run full-time if it was real, and a team that was running in the back. Okay, now I'm starting to think Kevin McGuire just forgot to switch accounts because what the hell? But somehow the Facebook, the insane amount of money they were asking, the horrible editing on images, the fake company, wasn't even the end of the weirdness with this team. They even had a YouTube channel that Kevin McGuire was running, and he posted some pretty odd videos.
What do you think? Pretty cool, isn't it? Yep. The Chevy Camaro. This is the NASCAR Xfinity Series road course. Good for August for Watkins Glen up in New York. Looking for advertising opportunities. Here we are. Buy a spot, make money. Go to Nature Farms Racing. Find out all the details. Analytics, give us a call here at 810-734-5010.
So I have no idea where he was during this filming. It might have actually been SS Greenlight Racing because it was filmed in 2025. That's about when they, I think, switched the Chevy. I could be mistaken, and Garrett Smithley also had his name on the car. Obviously, Nature Farms Racing is not a real racetrack, so he was just somewhere random, probably got some invite. I'm not really sure how he got there. He was also wearing his own merch, which apparently was somewhat made, at least for him. I'm sure, again, if you bought it, it would never come to you. But again, just so weird. This whole situation, this whole team, Kevin McGuire as a person, nothing just makes sense. It's just very, very odd, and this is one of the most strange NASCAR stories I've ever talked about. They would also randomly make these unofficial looking announcements that made no sense. Of course, they never showed up to the racetrack. A real race car that they owned was never showed, and quite obviously it is a scam race team that still somehow is trying to go on to this day. They last posted in 2025. It was just one of those promo images I showed earlier, but I haven't actually seen anything with the scam going on in 2026, so maybe after nearly, 7 years, it's finally over. But again, just such an odd NASCAR team scam that I don't think anyone actually ever fell for. I mean, how could you? Maybe in the beginning you probably could, but with those prices, I don't think anyone would even try. But Kevin Maguire stayed persistent and tried to get this to work for a long time, but nobody fell for the scam. I did a lot of research for this video. I think I found everything I probably could. If you have any other information though, make sure to put it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time.